Okay, let's continue with our conversation. Write phrases as algebraic expressions simplified if possible. In this case, we have 3 added to the double of a number. 3 added means that you have to add 3 to something. To what? To double of number. If you don't know the number is x, double the number is 2x. In this case, this is the only thing you have to write. 2x plus 3 because you don't have another requirement. You don't have to solve anything. B. 6 subtracted from the sum of 5 and a number. Remember, you are going to take 6 from something. From what? From the sum. If you have a sum, you need a parenthesis and write the sum inside the parenthesis. So, 6 subtracted from the sum of 5 and a number. But in this case, you have something to solve. After we finish explaining everything, I am going to solve the problem you have written here. Okay, you translate the phrases into an algebraic expression. Let's translate the next one. 2 times the sum of 3 and a number increased by 4. 2 times, remember, times means multiplication. You have to write 2. If you have to multiply the sum, you need a parenthesis. And then you have to write the sum of 3 and a number. You don't do the number is 6. Increase means addition. So you have to write plus 4. Okay, let's, I told you you don't have to do anything here, but to solve the section, you have to combine some like terms. So I am going to erase this one over here. And let's write the B over here. 5 plus x minus 6. Remember, I told you you have to erase the parentheses. The same thing, you have a 1 here, multiply times 5, and 1 times x is the same thing, so you have 5 plus x minus 6. Now, do you have something to combine here? Yes, you have numbers. You can combine the number. What to do? I am going to write first the x, and now, how much is 5 minus 6? You have to subtract and keep the sign of the largest. So the answer will be 6 minus 5 is 1. Negative, because the largest is negative, you have to keep the sign. This is the answer for exercise B. Now, let's go solving the exercise C. But I am going to erase over here is the eraser. This exercise from here. And I already solved the exercise here. You know, 2 times the sum of 3 and a number. 2 times, remember, means multiplication. The sum, you need a parenthesis because you have to add something. What are you going to add? 3 and a number. You don't know the number is 6. Increase means addition plus 4. In this case, you have to apply the distributive property. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times x is 2x plus 4. And now here you have to combine like 10, 6 plus 4. But we used to write always the variable, then the number. Let's write first 2x, and then 6 plus 4 is 10. And the answer is 2x plus 10. Well, we're starting solving unsimplified expression. Now, this will allow us to solve some problems. Let's write linear equation now. Okay, the next section is 2.2. 2.2. Solving equation. Solving equation. First, let's define linear equation. What is a linear equation? A linear equation is something written like that. A, B, and C, all of them real numbers. What are the real numbers? The real numbers are the positive number, negative number, fraction number, positive or negative. Those are the real numbers. So A could be, for example, 3, B could be 4, C could be 7, whatever number, or could be fraction even. Now, A, B, and C will be real numbers. And of course, A always different of 0. A could not be 0 because if you write 0 here, then you have B equals C, and that is another thing. Okay, a very important property is addition property of equality. Addition property of equality. If I have A equal B and I add something both sides, for example, A plus C is equal to B plus C. If I add C to the left side and I add C to the right side, this is equivalent. So this is a property of addition. If I add something to the left side, I have to add something to the right side too. Let's solve exercises applying the property of addition. An exercise here. If I have x minus 7 equal 10, this is an equation. I want to tell you what is the difference between term and equation. An equation always have an equal sign. If you have, for example, only x minus 7, that is a term. But if you have an equal sign, you have an equation. How to solve the equation? You have to pay attention to the property that of addition. For example, to solve the equation, what you have to do is to leave the x alone. You have to find a number that when you replace the x by that number, you get 10. Okay, how to do that? You can apply the property of addition. You can add 7 here. If you add 7 in the left side, you can add 7 to the right side too. Now, add negative 7 plus 7 is 0. You can cancel them out. And then you have x equal, and here you have positive, and positive you can add and keep the sign. And the answer is 17. And you always can check if this is true. You have to replace the x over here only to check if you want to check. You don't have to, but if you want to check, write the x minus 7 equal 10 here and replace the x by 17. 17 minus 7 equal 10. This is true, I don't know, I am checking. Let's see, 17 minus 7 is 10. And 10 is equal to 10. If you get a true statement, it's because you solved the equation well done, and this is a value for x when you have solving the equation. Okay, let's keep solving equations. Solve for y. What does it mean? Solve for y. That the equation you will have will be written with the variable of y. For example, y plus 3 equal minus 4. Okay. If you have to solve for y, what you have to do? You leave the y alone. Apply the property of the addition. To leave the y alone, you can subtract 3 both sides. And now cancel out because 3 minus 3 is 0, and then you have y equal minus 7, and this is the answer. You solve the equation for y. Now, that is how to solve the equation. Let's solve applying the definition of equation, solve some kind of problem. For example, subtract 6x minus 1 from 3x plus 4. Okay, this is a very important problem that you have to learn how to translate, because if you have to subtract 6x minus 1 from something, it's the same thing that, for example, you want to subtract 4 from 10. What does it mean? You have to write the 10 and then subtract 4. In this case, you have to do this in this way. You have to subtract 6x minus 1 from what? From 3x plus 4. But if you have binomial, you have to write that inside the parentheses. And now, this is an expression. You don't have, this is not an equation. This is two expressions. What to do? You have to write 3x plus 4. If you have a negative sign here, you have to say negative times positive is negative, and negative times negative is positive. And now you have to combine like terms. In this case, you have 3 minus 6 is minus 3x. Subtract and keep the sign of the larger. And 4 plus 1 is 5. In this case, the only thing you have to do is combine like terms. How to continue with this kind of problem? For example, if you have to solve equation. I already told you about when you have to apply the property of addition to solve the equation. Now, for example, the property of multiplication. Now, let's solve another equation. For example, solve for x. Solve for x. And what is the equation? You have 2x plus 3x, 2x plus 3x minus 5 equal 10x plus 3 minus 6x. 10x plus 3 minus 6x minus 4. Remember, to solve the equation, you need to leave the variable alone. Which is the variable here? X. So try to combine like terms in the left side and combine like terms in the right side too. Okay. 2 and 3 is 5x minus 5 equal. And here what are the like terms? 10x and 6x. That will be 4x. And now 3 minus 4. Subtract and keep the sign of the largest. 4 minus 3 is 1. The largest is negative. The answer will be negative. Now, applying the property of the addition property, you need the x in one side, the numbers in the other one. You can subtract 4x both sides. And now the 5x minus 4x is x. But you need the x alone. What to do now? If you add 5 both sides,